Well, I'm going to make the educated guess that anybody who comes to a conference at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning about the importance of waging democracy is already very familiar with our next speaker and just as big a fan of him and his work as I am. So all of you, I'm guessing, already know that Alex Padilla, the Secretary of State, has been a visionary leader, not just here in California, but nationally, in modernizing voting systems, increasing voter registration and participation, and representing really the best of what politics and democracy is all about. But I first became aware of Alex 20 years ago when he was running for Los Angeles City Council, and two of my friends, both of whom had never voted for a Democrat or never voted for a Democrat before, both came to me to tell me about this extraordinary young man, Alex Padilla, who was running for LA City Council. One of my friends was a Republican, the other was a Green. But both of them, even at that very early stage, his career understood and recognized the extraordinary potential and extraordinary skills that Alex Padilla had. I first became aware of those skills on September 11, 2001, when Alex Padilla, as the 28-year-old, 28 Alex? As the 28-year-old president of Los Angeles City Council, was an acting mayor of our nation's largest city on one of the most tragic days in our nation's history. And in those critical moments, he held our city together in a way that very few public leaders of any age would have been able to do. My admiration for him grew during his time in the California State Senate. But when I really got to know him and admire him is when he and I ran in the same race for California Secretary of State 4 years ago. And I will admit to you, my concern was not about his skills, his talents, his intelligence, or his drive, because all of those were beyond reproach. My concern is that Alex Padilla, I thought, might want to use the office of Secretary of State as a stepping stone to go on to be governor or United States Senator representing the state of California. And after watching him in the course of that campaign, and after watching him in his 4 years in office, I will tell you, I sure hope that Alex Padilla is using the office of Secretary of State as a stepping stone to run for United States Senate or Governor of California at some point in the future. As I mentioned earlier, he is not just a guardian of our democracy. He's not just a zealot for not just voter registration, but voter participation. But he represents what politics and democracy is supposed to be about. Please welcome me and join in our Secretary of State and my friend, Alex Padilla.
So yes, it's never happened, right? I'm really I'm sorry I'm 20 minutes or so late. We'll try to accelerate through the remarks, and if there's time for Q&A, we'll try to get the whole session back on track. But thank you all for coming out on a Sunday morning to wage democracy. We've had some tremendous speakers before me and some tremendous sessions after, and so in my brief remarks, let me begin by talking specifically about the voting and election space, and then end with what I think is greater context that we need to all absorb this in and take action in. I'll forego the long self-introduction, biographical information, but the 60-second version is, born and raised in the San Fernando Valley down in Southern California. Proud son of immigrants. My parents are from Mexico and came in the late 60s. Both retired now after careers as a short order cook for my father and cleaning houses that's what my mother did for nearly 40 years. Older sister from the education world, younger brother who works for the Los Angeles City Council, so we're all in public service in some way way, shape, or form. My background, my education is mechanical engineering. I love solving problems. So I figured I'd just dive into the most complicated ones, called politics and government. And so I've been doing this for almost 20 years, for 7.5 years in the Los Angeles City Council, for 8 years as a California State Senator, and for the last almost 4 years as California Secretary of State. And so let's dive into why elections and why Secretary of State. Because, frankly, 4 years ago when we were running, Dan, I'm sure you got the same questions I got when I was running for Secretary of State the first time. What can we do to get more people registered to vote? What can we do to get more people actually to vote? And frankly, when I even shared with my closest friends and supporters that I wanted to run for Secretary of State, a lot of them said, really? My biggest fans and supporters said, well, I'll support you because I like you, but Secretary of State voting, that's good and all, but it's not sexy, right? It's not glamorous work. But two comments. One, they asked me, by the way, 4 years ago, what my thoughts were on election cybersecurity. Or what my plan would be if the President of the United States tried to allege massive voter fraud in the state of California and millions of illegals voting. Who would have foreseen that? But on the subject areas of voter registration rates and turnout rates, here's what I did point people to. If you look at what's been happening across the country, not just this year, not just 4 years ago, but for the better part of the last 10 years plus, voter ID, reduction of early voting opportunities, if not the elimination of early voting opportunities. More recently, we're hearing more and more about aggressive purging of voter rolls, where many more eligible citizens are being taken off the rolls, and you can find people with the wrong address or anybody who might be ineligible. But it was all unleashed, really, starting before it was unleashed after the Shelby v. Holder decision in 2013, when the Supreme Court of the United States undid the pre-clearance requirement for states and local jurisdictions changing election rules in a way that, frankly, disenfranchised a lot of eligible citizens. It used to be that you had jurisdictions with a history or past practice of voter disenfranchisement would deem the Department of Justice okay when they changed how they did this. When that was no longer the case, they argued, well, if anybody's hurt in the course of these changes to how we conduct elections, you can always sue. But that is only after the damage has been done. After the election, you already have a winner or a loser, and then you got to document who was disenfranchised, and you hope that the judicial process can fix it for the next election. That's injustice. Since that decision in 2013, it's not just been one or two states, it's been hundreds of changes to law in dozens and dozens of states, including, as we speak, 53,000 voters in Georgia not being allowed to vote in this election by the current Secretary of State running for governor. More than 2/3 of the 53,000 voters being blocked from being able to cast the ballot are African Americans. When you have the first African American woman nominee of any major political party in Georgia. Coincidence? I think not. And so I took the spirit of what I was watching 4 years ago into my campaign for Secretary of State, not because I thought we needed to defend against the likelihood of that happening here. Right? We're California. We pride ourselves in our diversity. We pride ourselves in policy leadership. And so, as ambitious as we are when it comes to climate change and renewable energy and worker protection, I want us to apply that same policy ambition to civic engagement. Right? Let's show a different way, show a better way to the rest of the nation. So we came in having just recently launched online voter registration in California, which has helped a lot of people. But I knew we could do more. So we promoted the heck out of online voter registration. And in my first 2 years of office, we added nearly 2 million registered voters to the rolls. took a pre-registration law that had been previously adopted and added a box to the voter registration card. And we moved it online so that young people, 16 or 17-year-old citizens, can register to vote basically in advance. They submit their information on paper or online, and on their 18th birthday, they're automatically added to the rolls. Since we did that, 200,000 16 and 17-year-olds in California. Equally powerful, in my opinion. 100,000 of them have turned 18 since they pre-registered, and they're able to cast a ballot this November. That's huge. But wait, there's more. I was proud to call for automatic voter registration. And California became the second state in the nation to adopt automatic registration, which means when people are going to the Department of Motor Vehicles to apply for or renew their driver's license or their state ID, the default is they're added to the rolls, unless they choose to opt out. And hundreds of thousands of people have benefited from that since April of this year when we launched. Right? But when these measures were going through the legislature, and we get some of my former colleagues, cynics on both sides of the aisle, by the way, well, how much should we do this? It's not that hard to register. And every election we see turnout rates and evidence that just because people are registered doesn't mean they're going to get out and vote. Well, I know this, that if you're not registered to begin with, for sure you cannot vote. And think about this, simple elegance, I think, of automatic registration. Because today, across the country, if you're eligible to vote but not registered, you don't get the voter information guide from the state. If you're eligible to vote today but not registered, the county does not send you a sample ballot. And if you're eligible to vote but not registered, chances are candidates and campaigns are not knocking on your door, calling you during dinner, or not finding yourself on all these email lists you did not sign up for, but you're getting all the information.
How do I get unregistered?
It's not so stressful. But the point is, so the system and registration of eligible voters gets them in the game, right? Gets them the civic dialogue, in the civil civic dialogue, we hope, right? And eligible to participate as we wage democracy. But there are better ways to conduct elections that are friendlier for voters, right? Because the system that was set up a long time ago doesn't reflect modern times. I know every person here votes every single election, right? We're not talking about anybody here, but we're talking about one of those friends you know, one of those neighbors you know, one of those coworkers you know, that may not vote every time. Right? So options are pretty limited. A lot of people choose to vote by mail, and that's pretty convenient. That's only about 60% of Californians. The other 40% who prefer, and they're right, prefer to vote in person, are very limited. You have one designated location close to where you live between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. on election day only. Okay. I'm about the San Francisco area. I'm home for me is Los Angeles, and we have this thing called traffic. Maybe it makes it tough to get home quickly after work. And how many people work 9 to 5 anymore anyway? Right? So you're rushing home from work, trying to get through traffic, maybe picking up kids from school, getting dinner on the table, and now I got to go somewhere and stand in line before 8 o'clock. That's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. And so the second initiative I proposed as Secretary of State was the Voters' Choice Act to modernize how we conduct elections. And we had 5 counties transition to the new model this year, including San Mateo County. So Madera, San Mateo, Napa, Nevada, and Sacramento are the first 5, many more starting in 2020, and this is how elections will look in the future. A month before election day, every voter automatically gets a ballot in the mail. Don't need to ask for it, don't need an excuse, automatically comes to you. And voters have options, choices for how to return the ballot. You can mail it out. You can deliver it to any drop box. Every county is going to install drop boxes throughout the county, kind of like a mailbox, but clearly marked for ballots only. And nobody's going to need to stamp anymore either. And you can drop your ballot off at any box convenient to you in those weeks leading up to the election. But if you prefer that in-person experience, or you need assistance, or you want a same-day register and vote, or you need a replacement ballot, we can modernize polling places as we know them to what are referred to as vote centers. And vote centers, with a little bit of technology, afford voters the opportunity to go to any location in the county convenient to you. Imagine being able to vote closer to work, or closer to where I drop my kids off at school in the morning, or the grocery store, or the shopping mall, or whatever it is. And it gets better. Vote centers are open not just on election day, but for 11 days up to and including the election. So again, you can vote anywhere in the county. All of a sudden, you can vote the Tuesday before if you'd like. You can vote on election day if you'd like. You can vote over the weekend if you didn't vote by mail to begin with. More choices, more days, and more ways for being able to cast your ballot. So those are two of the biggest initiatives that we brought forward. And contrast that with what I see as the voter suppression agenda in much of the rest of the country. Right here, we're trying to get people systematically registered to vote and affording people more options for how they can cast their ballot. Why? Despite the engineering-loving numbers and data, it's not just about how we can increase registration rates. That's helpful, that's important. Or how we can increase turnout rates. That's helpful, that's important. But fundamentally, it's not just, oh, our democracy works best when every eligible person participates. It's that the more we increase registration and turnout rates, the more reflective the electorate is of the people. Because we know we have data on who it is that tends to be eligible but not registered, or even registered but very infrequent votes. Tends to be lower income families, communities of color, and young people. Now all of a sudden we see why this voter suppression efforts in other states are making clearer sense. Right? Because we know that when we engage more people, who it is that we are empowering. And why is that even an issue? Is it a matter of, well, which political party benefits? We can have that debate. But I think more fundamentally what's happening in America today, even before November 2016, but especially since November 2016, we're going to talk about a lot of issues that have been debated, a lot of dynamics that have gotten people woke and active. Is it because there's somebody threatening to ban Muslims from traveling to America? Is it because of proposals to build a wall or separate families at the border? Is it because of what proposals are that debated on healthcare access or equality? Or because we have been given a significant and harsh reminder that both women and men need to stand up for treating all women with respect? Take your choice. And there's a lot more issues where that came from. But one of the most powerful moments for me, and I can move on, was the pardon of Joe Arpaio or Supreme Court nominations and appointments or anything else. The one that put it in the greatest historical context for me was this. A little bit more than a year ago, I was shocked and offended by what I saw in Charlottesville. I know you know. I know you remember. It was yet another punch to the gut for me. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. I may be younger than other people in elected office. I was born in 1973. That post-civil rights movement, and definitely post-World War II. So when I learned about the civil rights movement in school, I thought, wait a minute, the KKK, remember the grainy black and white videos? They'd come in the middle of the night, right? And the Nazis, isn't that who we defeated in World War II? Never would I have imagined that in 2017, we would see neo-Nazis and the Klan marching in broad daylight, in public, and on a university campus, no less. And as much as I could not have imagined that, I could not have imagined a president of the United States not immediately and unequivocally denouncing those demonstrations, those chants, and those messages. So if there is any doubt that the fundamental foundation of our democracy and our democratic institutions are under attack, let there be no doubt. And channel the energy, channel the spirit of that, absolutely no doubt, into action. We all feel good because we're all registered about it. We're all feel good because we vote every election. It's no longer enough. You know, when I visit high schools up and down the state of California, I try to wrap up by leading them through a quick math quiz. You know, and I'll share it with all of you here. What's greater, 1 or 10? 10. Yes, it's not a trick question. 10. What's greater, 10 or 100? 100. Very good. Last question. What's greater, 100 or 1,000? 1,000. Very good. You all get it. Where's he going with this? It's not just in that. It's also in democracy. If I register and I vote, I'm exercising my voice in the political process. But if I engage my family and some close friends and to also make sure they're registered and voting and 10 people go vote, what's more powerful? And for young people who may go onto their campus or for all of us in our own communities, if we can move 100 people or even 1,000 people, what's more powerful? We know that when we organize, that is strengthening our democracy and elevating our voices, and that is what each one of us is called upon to do. Because yes, we have the right to vote, and that is sacred, but we also have the right to organize. And that is what we need to do and continue to do for the next 23 days. Thank you very much.
Related questions. A lot has been talked about voter suppression, but you spoke out on Tuesday regarding the census. And I know that the number of our congressional districts, that's a determining factor. Can you speak to what you have to say as well as the citizenship question?
Great. I appreciate it, because after this November, I think the next big area of focus as we go towards 2020. I mean, it's strategic on the administration's part, right? You want to hit California where it hurts. Yes, we can do tax reform. Yes, we can strip health care. Yes, we can do this and that. But if you undermine California and other similar diverse states via the census, you're impacting both federal funding formulas for the next decade, and you're literally limiting their voice in Congress. So every 10 years we conduct the decennial census, right? It's a national population count as written into the U.S. Constitution. Not a count of citizens, a national population count. And it's these formulas that, again, are used to disperse federal funds for the next 10 years and drive reapportionment. Right? How many representatives to Congress in each state get? And then within each state, it drives redistricting. So voting rights are absolutely across there. There's a lot going wrong with the census. It's been underfunded and understaffed compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, et cetera. So they're behind on preparation, including testing. Right? You don't just conduct a survey. Well, you ask the questions, right? You formatted the survey correctly. There's testing that typically happens that has not been happening in this program. By the way, this will give you the first digital census. Right, so not everybody can get a form immediately in the mailbox. We're all going to get information on where to go log on. And to me, that's problematic because there's still a digital divide in America. And for all the same reasons we should be critical. But the most recent attempt to undermine is the addition of a question about citizenship, which may sound innocuous, but we know from past practice and from administrations, both Democrat and Republican, that if you question the citizenship of every person in America, it has the effect of either discouraging or intimidating a lot of people from participating. And when people are afraid to fill out the form or submit their information, that creates a significant undercount. And the consequences, the stakes on that are huge. So I know the JCRC and a lot of similar, like-minded, value-oriented organizations are concerned, and we will be working together for the next year and a half to do what we can to oppose that and address that. I wish I could take a ton more questions, but my time is up. I want to thank you all very much. I'm easy to find. Google me, send me an email. They do get to me. But thank you all for being here today, for